Hi everyone, Chad here, back with another video to help you learn about FMEA's failure modes and effects analysis. A couple of weeks ago, I think I did a video, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, where I talked about the FMEA and then I asked if you were interested in learning more about FMEAs. So today, I'm going to give you sort of a breakdown of what an FMEA is, how to use the FMEA. We're going to go over all of that. Now, if you like this kind of content and you want to learn how to use lean, Kaizen, and root cause analysis to further your career, doesn't matter if you're in transactional like the service industry or if you're in manufacturing, you're going to get value out of this channel. So why not go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. Likewise, at any time during my video, you can just tap out on the like button. So by the end of this video, viewers should be able to define FMEA, be familiar with the history of FMEA, know when to use an FMEA, understand the elements of FMEA, and know how to identify a high RPN. Now that RPN stands for risk priority number. We're going to go over all of this, so not to worry. Now let's define what an FMEA is, and I'll read the formal definition, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So failure modes and effects analysis, FMEA, is a systematic and proactive approach used in various industries to identify potential failures or errors in a process, product, or system and assess their potential impact. The main goal of conducting an FMEA is to prioritize and address these potential failure modes before they occur or cause harm, thereby improving the overall reliability and safety of the system. And that's a pretty good definition. So let's jump right into the history. Now, if you didn't know, the FMEA begun in the 1940s by the US military, believe it or not. And then it goes into another definition there. I thought this was important because I did not know that the military designed this. So when should you use an FMEA? You can use an FMEA when a process, product, or service is being designed or redesigned, when an existing process, product, or service is being applied in a new way, before developing control plans. And you should also use an FMEA when improvement goals are planned for an existing process, product, or service, when analyzing failures of an existing process, product, or service, and periodically throughout the life of the process, product, or service. It's a lot. So when do I use FMEAs? Well, you should always try to use an FMEA when you're developing a new process for a product, right? And not to worry, we're going to go over an example in a minute, and this will make more sense, but you want to make sure you're looking at all the potential failure modes so you can try to eliminate these things before they happen, right? And so that means that you should not be doing this in a silo. Oftentimes I see companies put a quality person into a room or have one person going around doing an FMEA, and an FMEA should not be used that way, not when you're creating a new product, nor should you do this even when you've had an issue and you're trying to reevaluate the FMEA. You should always use a team when either creating an FMEA or updating an FMEA. Just keep that in mind. Now let's take a look at an example of an FMEA. And for this example, I want to use like a pizza shop because we're kind of all familiar, we should be all familiar with a pizza shop. Now I've never worked in a pizza shop, but I know how to make a pizza. And so I'm going to use something that I know and something you all probably know too. So before we go into that, I want to make sure we understand these headers here. We have process function. That's the function that we're analyzing here. You have the potential failure mode. You have the potential effects of that failure mode, the severity of the effect. Then you have the potential causes or mechanisms of failure. Then you have the occurrence, and that's the occurrence of the potential causes, right? And the mechanism failure. And then you have the current process controls and the detection, like what level of detection that you have. And then you multiply the severity, occurrence, and detection to get your risk priority number. And so severity, occurrence, and detection are all ranked 1 through 10, 1 being not so bad, 10 being catastrophic. And then that gives you your RPN once you multiply those together. I have a formula here that's going to multiply this together for us. I downloaded this straight from the ASQ website. They give you a lot of free resources over there. I'll link this down in the description below, or the ASQ website. You can go over there. Tons of free stuff, courses and all that jazz as well. But let's process through this and let's look at the process function. Now, when you think about a pizza shop, there's a lot happening in a pizza shop. But for us, we're going to say the process function is to cook the pizza. All right. And so then when you think about cooking a pizza, you want to understand like all the potential failure modes, all the things, all the potential bad things that could happen when you're cooking a pizza, right? All the failures that could happen when you're cooking a pizza. So I'm just going to throw a few in here. So if you're cooking a pizza, the potential failure mode is you have uncooked pizza. That's a failure mode. You could have an overcooked pizza or a burnt pizza, right? You can have a partially cooked pizza, right? And so these are the potential failures of that function. Maybe you could think of some more, but I just want to make sure that we get a good start here. And for simplicity, I'm going to leave it here. Now you want to think about the potential effects of the failure. And when you're thinking about the potential effects of the failure, you want to think about what is the customer experiencing because of an uncooked pizza. Now, for an uncooked pizza, we might say that they're dissatisfied, right? Dissatisfied customer. Because look, they're going to be unhappy. It's uncooked. They're going to know it's uncooked because you can tell when a pizza is completely uncooked. And the same thing for overcooked. If a pizza comes out burned or it's got burned edges and everything, they're going to be dissatisfied. They're not going to eat the pizza, but they're not going to be happy, right? Now, when we get down to partially cooked pizza, this might be a problem. The effect could be a couple of things. One, maybe it's a dissatisfied customer, right? So we could do that. But they could also get sick, right? Let's suppose, for example, listen, this might not happen, but I just want to throw it out there so we can get some good range in here and have some variation or variability in our answers for potential failure modes, and we can look at RPNs and have some, some variety here. So if we think about a partially cooked pizza, we have dissatisfied customer, but they could also get sick, right? I mean, that is a potential problem if they eat some bad, I don't know, meat or something. Customer gets sick. Now, I like to go in here and merge these. So now we got all these different failure modes and everything. I want to make this neat. This is going to make sense after you see this. I'll merge those cells because cooked pizza goes with all of this. Then I'll come here, merge these two. And now what you have is, you can see cooked pizza is for all of this. But uncooked pizza, you have a dissatisfied customer. Overcooked pizza, dissatisfied customer. And then you have partially cooked pizza, which is for both of these, right? And it's really easy to see. Not everybody does this, but it just, to me, it stays neat and cleaner that way. You don't have to do that. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to look at the severity. And what the severity we're looking at is we're trying to figure out how severe each one of the potential effects of the failure are. So for example, dissatisfied customer, what does that mean for the business? Well, if 1 is okay and no big deal, and 10 is absolutely catastrophic, I wouldn't say that a dissatisfied customer is catastrophic. Certainly it's not good, so I might put a 6 there. You might think differently, especially if you look at the scale. Now, again, I'm going to put 6 there because it's a dissatisfied customer. Again, we can put a 6. And by the way, this is normal. When you're doing an FMEA, a lot of times you'll run into the same numbers and then some outliers, because that's what we're going to see here with this customer gets sick. Now, if a customer gets sick, to me, it's catastrophic, right? They're going to leave us bad reviews on Google and all that jazz. We don't want that. So customer gets sick, they got a 10, and that's a severe situation. And then we get over to potential causes, mechanisms of the failure. And so what we're analyzing with the potential causes and mechanisms of the failure is we're analyzing the potential causes and mechanisms of the failure that cause this potential failure mode. For example, for this one, we have uncooked pizza. What is the mechanism that caused that, the failure mechanism? Maybe an uncooked pizza is caused by a bad oven, right? The whole oven is bad because it's the oven didn't cook the pizza. For overcooked pizza, let's throw out an example. Let's say we have one of those conveyors that kind of moves the pizza along through the oven. So then when you put it in, it's raw on one side, it moves to the oven, it comes out the other side, it's all cooked. If you have an overcooked pizza, then that means that the conveyor is not moving fast enough, and so maybe it's a slow conveyor, right? And so it's staying under the heat longer. Now, once we get down to partially cooked, a dissatisfied customer, well, if it's a partially cooked pizza, that means that it is getting some heat on it, but it's just not getting enough heat to cook the pizza entirely. So maybe it's moving too fast through the conveyor, right? So it's moving too fast, so it's not under the heat long enough, so you're getting a partially cooked pizza. All right, and then would be fast conveyor for the next one too, right? Customer gets sick, it's because you have a partially cooked pizza. Again, remember, you're doing the potential cause and mechanism of the failure for the potential failure mode. So a fast conveyor would still be, partially cooked pizza. Now what you want to do is you want to talk about the occurrence. And remember, we're going to be doing the occurrence for that cause. So for example, a bad oven. How often would we have a bad oven that would cause an uncooked pizza, right? Probably not very often, right? You probably wouldn't have a bad oven that often. So I'm going to put that as a low occurrence. Now, if you have an overcooked pizza, meaning that you have a slow conveyor, let's say that, we don't expect that to happen. So we're going to give that a 3 as well. Again, maybe this hasn't happened before and we're just trying to do a new FMEA for our pizza shop. Then you have partially cooked pizza, fast conveyor. These are all probably going to be 3s, right? Doesn't happen that often. Not very big on occurrence. Now, again, varies in severity, not so much in occurrence. Now we're going to go to the current process controls. So what kind of process controls could we have in place for a bad oven? Well, there's probably a few things they could have in place. Maybe there are things. Maybe, if the oven's not heating at all, maybe an alarm goes off or something like that. But let's assume, for the sake of simplicity and to fill out this FMEA, that there's none. They don't have any controls for a bad oven. Now let's look at slow conveyor. What kind of process controls do we have in place for a slow conveyor? And I'm gonna say that they have a speed control setting, and same thing for fast. So now what we're saying is that for process controls, we don't really have one for a bad oven, but for the speed of the conveyor, if it's slow or it's fast, we have a speed control setting. So that's good, right? We got something in place here. Now we need to look at the detection, like what detection do we have in place for these control processes? So for example, let's say here we don't have any detection in place, and we know that's not good, right? For speed control setting, that's not really a detection. And that's the reason I wanted to put that there. It's a setting, but it's not a detection. It's a control, but it's not a detection. So I would say that, yeah, you know, it's great that we have it and we can control the speed, but if the speed's too slow or too fast, we really don't have any type of alarm that goes off. So I'm gonna say that it's a 10 because we don't have any detection in place. We have controls, but no detection. We're technically finished with our FMEA. Now I wanna draw your attention to how kind of these FMEAs are divided up. From here over, right, to RPN, is really one side of the FMEA. And then you have recommended actions to RPN on this side, and that's the other side of the FMEA. For this side of the FMEA, what we're really trying to get to is like, what do we have in place that would give us a good RPN? And usually between 200 and 300, I said, let's say, for example, we really wanted below 300 for our pizza shop, and we have an RPN of 300 right here. This is where we would go to the other side of the FMEA and put in some recommended actions. For the speed control setting, for customer gets sick, right, partially cooked, fast conveyor, we want to put something in place. So let's say we're going to install speed setting alarm. Yeah, so if it's too fast, we're going to get this alarm. If it's too slow, we're going to get this alarm. And that will help us control, right? Control how fast the conveyor is, so we can make sure the pizza gets heated properly and gets cooked. And we're gonna say Chad's gonna do this. You always have a name in there, always a name, not a department. We want somebody we can actually go to and say, was this done? And then you would say the target completion date. We'll just say, I don't know, I'll make up something here, 5, 10, backspace 20, 25. Then we put actions taken, installed speed setting alarm, and then we go to this side where we start doing the severity, occurrence, and detection again. Now, what's important to note here is that you will not change the severity and the occurrence most of the time. You would still say it's a 10 on the severity scale, right? 10 on the severity scale. You would say the occurrence is going to be a 3. Here's where the detection would change though, right? Because detection, now we have this great speed alarm that's going to go off and tell us what's going on. You know, hey, something's wrong with the conveyor, and we're going to say it's a pretty good conveyor or alarm, and now we put a 2 in there, meaning that it's good detection, and it gets us down to a 60. And that's really the FMEA, guys. Listen, I know that was a lot. We could go through this again. When you're looking at the functions, you would go to cook pizza. You might want to go into cooking pasta, whatever functions would be in a pizza shop. Maybe it's like the drink machine and all the potential failure modes that could happen with the drink dispenser. But by doing it this way and sharing the pizza shop with you, I'm hoping you can contextualize that for your own business, whether it be transactional process or service industry, or just making widgets or pizzas. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Do not forget to click the like button because it does help promote the video. Also, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this type of content. I do have an Instagram account. I'll put that down in the link below, so you can just click that and follow me over there. I share things with my current career, pictures, things like that if you're interested. I don't always update it, but I do have one over there. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.